in the heart of a city, pulsing with ambition and dreams, Sarah Jenkins shone brightest. She embodied the promise of youth, a life meticulously crafted for success and joy filled with the warmth of family and the rhythm of Friday night jazz. Yet beneath the surface of this vibrant existence, a subtle discord played a secret symphony of digital whispers that only Sarah knew. It was a private world tucked away on an untraceable phone shielded from the light of her everyday life, a compartment she kept hidden even from those closest to her. For weeks, these clandestine calls and cryptic messages had built a hidden narrative, a shadow story running parallel to her bright public one. No one, not her loving sister, nor her closest friend, suspected the silent tension growing in Sarah's orbit. They couldn't know that this carefully guarded secrecy, this digital veil, was not just a personal quirk, but a pathway into an unseen darkness. What hidden connection woven into the fabric of her secret life would ultimately silence her infectious laugh forever? Atlanta, a city of towering ambition and boundless energy, once held no brighter star than Sarah Jenkins. To those who knew her, Sarah wasn't just a presence. She was an atmosphere, a radiant force whose infectious laugh could soften the sharpest edges of any day, and whose unwavering optimism transformed challenges into mere stepping stones. Her younger sister, Emily, still speaks of Sarah with a visible ache, her voice a hushed testament in the quiet interview room. She was larger than life. Emily recalls her gaze distant, a guiding star, really. Every room she walked into, it illuminated. Sarah was not simply living, she was flourishing. Her closest friend, Chloe, recounts Sarah's professional ascent with a mixture of pride and profound sorrow. She'd just landed that huge promotion at Sterling and Company, the biggest advertising agency downtown. She was on the cusp of truly achieving everything she'd ever dreamed of. It was all right there within her grasp. Sarah, at 28, perfectly embodied a modern woman's drive, balanced with a soulful appreciation for life's simple pleasures. Her demanding weeks were a meticulously choreographed dance between high-pressure client presentations and the restorative embrace of live music. Every Friday evening, a sacred ritual, Sarah would gravitate towards the Velvet Note, a discreetly elegant jazz club nestled in the city's vibrant core. It served as her personal sanctuary, a space where the improvisational crescendos of saxophone and the smooth undulations of piano offered a vital reprieve from the week's relentless pace. She savored these evenings, often sharing them with Chloe, or sometimes simply surrendering to the music's embrace alone, a rare, cherished indulgence in an otherwise rigorously structured existence. Yet her meticulous planning and ambition never overshadowed her deepest commitment. Her family, with Emily at its heart, remained the unwavering anchor of her world. This particular Friday in late spring unfurled with a serene familiarity. The warm Atlanta air, thick with the intoxicating scent of blooming jasmine, accompanied Sarah as she navigated her day with characteristic poise. A critical client presentation, the culmination of weeks of relentless effort, was delivered with confident precision, earning quiet, affirming nods from her senior partners. A celebratory text, brief but alive with enthusiasm, flashed across Emily's phone screen before Sarah gracefully departed from her office. The workday melted effortlessly into her cherished evening ritual. She changed into her favorite cobalt blue dress, a garment that mirrored the depth of her eyes and seemed to amplify her inherent radiance. The familiar drive to the Velvet Note the soft, distant hum of jazz already seeping from the club's ornate doors as she approached it was all a seamless continuation of the life she knew. She sent a swift text to Chloe, confirming their meeting inside her fingers, moving with a lightness that utterly belied the profound and irreversible shift her world was about to experience. Each Friday, Sarah Jenkins would allow the city's pulse to guide her finding quiet respite in a routine that recharged her spirit for the coming week. This Friday, however, was destined to irrevocably alter that rhythm. Within the Velvet Note's intimate confines, bathed in the amber glow of the stage lights, and surrounded by the low thrum of conversation and mellow brass, Sarah found her accustomed solace. She ordered her usual gin and tonic, exchanged a warm, genuine smile with the bartender, and raised her glass in a silent personal acknowledgement of her accomplishments, her burgeoning dreams, and the full, vibrant life she was so earnestly building. Her laughter, authentic and uninhibited, intertwined with the cascading notes of the saxophone, a sound Chloe would forever hold as a final, treasured echo. No one in that bustling, convivial space, least of all Sarah herself, could have conceived that this ordinary evening, filled with such unassuming joy and quiet celebration, marked the unsuspecting precipice of her world. The city outside continued its nightly hum, entirely unaware of the precious light on the brink of being violently eclipsed. The following Saturday morning arrived not with the gentle hum of a weekend awakening, but with an unsettling, profound quiet. Emily Jenkins' phone, usually a vibrant conduit for Sarah's cheerful morning texts and calls, remained stubbornly unresponsive. Her initial attempts to connect with her sister were met only with the impersonal tone of voicemail. A tiny spark of concern ignited within Emily. Sarah, though brimming with spirit, was unfailingly punctual, especially regarding plans. As the hours stretched, that initial worry deepened, morphing into a cold, creeping dread. A frantic call to Chloe confirmed Emily's worst fears. Sarah had never returned home from the Velvet Note. The last message Chloe had received, sent just after Sarah's departure from the club, read simply, heading out. "See you tomorrow," but that promise tomorrow never materialized. A sharp, seizing panic gripped Emily. With trembling fingers, she made the agonizing call to 911. What began as a routine missing person report quickly intensified the urgency, mounting with each passing minute. Police dispatchers, initially taking down standard details, soon grasped the escalating gravity as Emily conveyed Sarah's uncharacteristic absence and the complete lack of any explanation. Detectives were immediately assigned, a search grid swiftly established, but the initial canvass yielded no immediate trace of Sarah. Then, just before noon, a routine sanitation sweep along a desolate stretch of road bordering Grant Park revealed a horrifying tableau. A municipal worker, meticulously navigating his route, spotted a vehicle partially obscured by a dense tangle of overgrown kudzu, its hazard lights blinking faintly, almost apologetically. It was Sarah's silver sedan, incongruously abandoned. The driver's side door hung wide, swaying slightly in the faint breeze like a gaping wound. On the damp, compacted earth beside it lay a single iridescent high heel, its strap brutally torn, a stark, poignant emblem of a life violently interrupted. A closer, more chilling inspection revealed scuff marks in the soft soil, a disturbed patch of grass, and faint, unsettling smears on the car door's interior, undeniable indicators of a desperate struggle. The scene quickly cordoned off with stark yellow tape, transformed into a canvas of chilling reality. Forensic technicians moved with deliberate precision, their gloved hands collecting minute samples, their cameras documenting every grim detail. Their solemn expressions conveyed an unspoken, harrowing truth. Something unspeakable had transpired here. Detective Marcus Thorne, a veteran investigator whose years on the force had etched lines of quiet determination around his eyes, arrived with his partner Detective Lena Hansen. Thorne surveyed the grim sight, his gaze hardened but methodically sweeping his mind, already beginning to construct a potential narrative of violence. He scanned the surrounding dense woods, the quiet, isolated road, the exposed interior of the car, his eyes lingering on the single abandoned shoe. The chilling absence of a body was a profound, terrifying void, deepening the horror. This wasn't merely a missing person, Case Thorne stated, his voice low and firm, his tone betraying no discernible emotion. This was an abduction, and with every passing hour, the chances of finding her alive diminished. His words, though delivered with professional detachment, resonated with the crushing weight of his experience. The initial chaotic shock of discovery swiftly gave way to the disciplined, urgent actions of law enforcement, a cold, unyielding machine, now grinding into motion, racing against the unforgiving clock. For Sarah's family, their initial disbelief shattered, giving way to a terrifying realization. A predator moved freely, and Sarah, a woman who had once illuminated every space she entered, had been brutally swept into an unknown darkness. The quiet morning that had begun with Emily's unanswered calls had escalated into an urgent, desperate hunt for answers. The immediate aftermath of Sarah's disappearance plunged the Atlanta Police Department into a maelstrom of frenetic activity. With the stark discovery of her abandoned vehicle and the unmistakable signs of a violent struggle, Detectives Thorne and Hansen grasped the critical urgency of their mission. Their paramount priority swiftly became a meticulous reconstruction of Sarah's final hours, a granular effort to chart her movements from the moment she exited her apartment to the desolate stretch of road where her car lay silent. Every single second, every whispered interaction held the potential to unlock the terrifying mystery. Their first crucial waypoint was the Velvet Note, the jazz club Sarah cherished. The establishment, typically a haven of warm lights and smooth improvisational melodies, now stood under the unforgiving glare of police investigation. Its inviting ambiance was eclipsed by an unsettling stillness as detectives systematically canvassed the staff. Bartenders, resident musicians, and any lingering patrons were questioned, their memories carefully sifted, probing for any anomaly, any discordant note in the evening symphony, any witness who might have seen a raised voice or an unfamiliar face lingering near Sarah. Arthur Hayes, the seasoned bar manager, confirmed Sarah's consistent patronage, her usual gin and tonic, and her preferred table near the stage. Yet, neither his recollections nor those of his attentive staff yielded any memory of an argument, a disturbance, or a suspicious encounter involving Sarah. Chloe, Sarah's closest confidant, delivered a detailed, emotionally charged account of their evening. She vividly recounted Sarah's cheerful disposition, her palpable enthusiasm over the recent promotion, and her customary departure around 11:30 p.m. a standard exit time for her. Chloe adamantly stressed that Sarah had appeared utterly unburdened, without the slightest hint of distress. Security footage painstakingly retrieved from the club's exterior cameras largely corroborated Chloe's testimony, capturing Sarah walking alone towards the parking lot. But the grainy, low-resolution images offered little concrete evidence, providing no clear view of anyone else near her nor any vehicle following her. It was a cul-de-sac of grainy pixels, a digital whisper that steadfastly refused to yield a clear voice. As the investigative net widened, the search extended far beyond the club's immediate vicinity. Detectives coordinated expansive efforts to canvass nearby businesses for their own surveillance footage, while specialized ground teams systematically combed adjacent roadsides and wooded areas, desperately hoping for any discarded clue, any subtle sign that might illuminate Sarah's fate. Concurrently, the most harrowing duty fell to Thorne and Hanson, the interview with Emily and Sarah's heartbroken parents. In the solemn quiet of their living room, the detectives bore witness to a grief so raw it felt uncontainable, a despair that tore at the very fabric of their family. This crushing sorrow served as a stark, visceral reminder of the profound human cost that fueled their unyielding commitment to truth. Every lead felt like a whisper in a hurricane, Detective Hanson observed later, her voice tinged with the frustration of the initial struggle to find solid ground amidst the profound emotional upheaval and the painful paucity of tangible evidence. The investigation's focus remained acutely on establishing a precise timeline identifying any deviation, any minute anomaly that could possibly provide a crucial break in the baffling case. While law enforcement pressed forward with unflinching resolve, Sarah's family remained suspended in an agonizing limbo, grappling with the unbearable weight of uncertainty, haunted by the lingering ghost of her last known moments. The initial frustrating stillness of the investigation persisted with tangible evidence, proving elusive. Yet, amidst the meticulous re-examination of records from the Velvet Note, a solitary, perplexing anomaly began to surface, a subtle discord in the otherwise unremarkable digital ledger of Sarah's last known evening. While Sarah had indeed settled her personal bill before departing the club around 11:30 p.m., the system recorded something entirely unexpected. A new bar tab curiously opened under Sarah's name for an additional round of expensive single malt bourbon remained conspicuously unpaid. The timestamp was a cold, hard fact, logged a full 15 minutes after she had been observed walking towards the parking lot. This seemingly minor detail, a digital phantom from a bustling Friday night, immediately snagged Detective Thorne's attention. It was a dissonant note in the carefully constructed harmony of Sarah's final hours. He returned to the Velvet Note, his questions now laced with a more focused intensity as he faced Arthur Hayes, the bar manager, once more. Hayes, a man whose decades behind the bar had made him an encyclopedic expert in the currents and rhythms of his establishment, explained their protocol with a weary but professional patience. Tabs are always closed out when a customer leaves or responsibly transferred if someone else is taking over. He clarified, his brow furrowed in genuine bewilderment. This particular one, it was initiated late bearing her name, then simply abandoned. That's profoundly uncharacteristic for a regular like Sarah. Hayes distinctly recalled seeing Sarah leave a bright, unburdened smile on her face. Neither he nor any of his attentive staff, however, could recall precisely who initiated that second tab or who might have ordered those particular uncharacteristic drinks using her identity. The choice of an expensive aged bourbon also stood out, notably not Sarah's usual preference. This singular piece of evidence, as unassuming as a forgotten receipt, introduced the first undeniable fracture in the painstakingly reconstructed timeline. It presented a chilling dichotomy. Either Sarah had, for some inexplicable reason, returned to the bar after her initial departure, Or more disturbingly, someone had deliberately invoked her name after she was gone, a calculated act of deception. This wasn't simply a clerical error, or a forgotten round thorn articulated his voice low and resolute, his finger tracing the stark lines of the printout. His gaze was fixed on the precise digital timestamp. This was a deliberate act, or a ghost in the system, trying to leave a mark, a false trail. The investigation plunged deeper into the painstaking realm of digital forensics and cross-referencing. Detectives meticulously analyzed every credit card transaction from that night, comparing them against employee shifts and re-examining every frame of the club's interior surveillance footage with renewed intensity. They were searching for a shadow, a fleeting glance, any individual who might have been near Sarah's table at the precise moment that second mysterious tab was opened. The unpaid tab, once an insignificant administrative oversight, now transformed into a pivotal, unsettling clue, hinting at a lurking presence Sarah was entirely unaware of, or a sinister connection yet to be unearthed. It irrevocably drew the investigation further into the murky, treacherous waters of deliberate deception, strongly suggesting a cold, calculating mind had been at play. The deceptive simplicity of a bar bill now held a terrifying, complex significance, with the enigma of the unpaid bar tab offering a tantalizing but incomplete thread. The investigation strategically broadened its scope, shifting its intense focus from the physical world to the intricate tapestry of Sarah's digital life. Detectives swiftly secured comprehensive warrants for her phone records, social media accounts, and email archives, harboring a fervent hope of uncovering a digital fingerprint that might finally illuminate the deepening anomalies. Initially, Sarah's digital footprint revealed a life of meticulous organization and transparent connections, work emails brimming with professional correspondence, lively family group chats, and a healthy, seemingly open social network. It painted a vivid, familiar portrait of the Sarah her loved ones knew, deeply connected, actively engaged, and, to all outward appearances, utterly devoid of secrets. However, a deeper, more forensic excavation into her phone logs began to expose a hidden, unsettling layer. Nestled amidst her regular communications was a peculiar series of short-duration calls and brief cryptic texts directed to an unknown, untraceable number, a burner phone. These communications, initially sporadic and almost imperceptible, had begun approximately 2 months prior to her disappearance. But in the critical week leading up to the crime, their frequency had subtly intensified, like a creeping shadow growing longer and more ominous. The content of these messages was strikingly concise, often just a single word or probing question, and most crucially, many had been deliberately deleted from Sarah's end, strongly suggesting a clandestine exchange she fervently wished to conceal. Emily, confronted with this startling discovery by the detectives, was visibly bewildered, her composure fracturing. Sarah had always been an open book, a sister with whom she believed she shared everything. "I can't believe this," Emily whispered, her voice thick with a confusing blend of searing pain and bewildered disbelief. "Sarah never kept secrets from me, not like this. Not from me." Chloe, Sarah's closest friend, expressed similar shock, struggling vehemently to reconcile this hidden communication with the transparent, trusting companion she had known for years. It was like unearthing a secret compartment in a house you thought you knew intimately. Emily elaborated, her hands clenching at her sides, the revelation painting a new, unsettling, and profoundly disorienting portrait of her sister. Detective Lena Hansen, a tech-savvy investigator possessing a preternatural gift for discerning digital patterns, assumed leadership in the rigorous analysis of the burner phone data. She observed that these peculiar calls and texts frequently occurred late at night, often after Sarah had been out, sometimes chillingly coinciding with her regular Friday visits to the Velvet Note. This profound discovery irrevocably shattered the established image of Sarah's transparent life, introducing a compelling, deeply unsettling layer of mystery. The undeniable existence of the burner phone immediately pivoted the investigation's focus. What had initially seemed like a random, opportunistic act of violence now took on the terrifying hue of a potentially targeted crime. Sarah, the radiant and open professional, had in fact been guarding a fiercely private life, one that now, with chilling certainty, held the undeniable key to her fate and the horrifying truth of her abduction. These digital whispers, once silent and invisible, now resonated with deafening implications. The mysterious burner phone, a digital whisper from the hidden crevices of Sarah's life, swiftly solidified into the central pillar of the unfolding investigation. Its very existence hinted at a deliberate quest for anonymity, a calculated avoidance of traceability that screamed of concealed intent. Forensic analysts, meticulously guided by Detective Hansen, commenced the arduous task of resurrecting its shadowy existence. While the phone's approximate location data, painstakingly derived from cell tower pings, was inherently imprecise, it nevertheless unveiled a hauntingly consistent pattern. It activated in areas proximal to the Velvet Note on Sarah's usual Friday nights, a silent digital shadow tracking her movements. Further, more painstaking analysis revealed the phone's deliberate genesis. It had been purchased with cash linked to a prepaid debit card, a common calculated tactic employed to obscure identity, rendering direct tracing exceptionally difficult. This intentional obfuscation only deepened the detective's suspicions. The perpetrator, it became chillingly clear, was not merely impulsive, but coldly calculating, meticulous in their efforts to erase their tracks. However, a crucial, illuminating breakthrough materialized from the painstaking intersection of disparate data points. Detective Hansen, experiencing a surge of professional insight, cross-referenced the burner phone's activation windows with Sarah's known movements, and most critically, with the precise creation time of that anomalous unpaid bar tab. On the very night of her disappearance, the burner phone had been active within a critical half-mile radius of the Velvet Note, precisely as the suspicious second bar tab was opened under Sarah's name. A chilling, undeniable symmetry presented itself, weaving two seemingly unconnected threads into a sinister knot. Detective Thorne, his gaze fixed on the correlating data, felt a cold certainty settle deep in his gut. The two seemingly disparate clues, the phantom of the unpaid tab and the unsettling digital whispers of the burner phone, were not merely coincidental, but intrinsically, horrifyingly linked. The burner phone was communicating with someone near the bar. Thorne posited his voice a low, gravelly rumble, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized the complex timeline on the screen. And someone at the bar was placing an order using Sarah's name at the exact same moment. This is an intricate, premeditated web of deceit. This profound revelation dramatically propelled the investigation into a new, sharply focused direction. Thorne immediately dispatched teams to scour surveillance footage from every convenience store within a 5-mile radius of where the prepaid debit card was activated. After countless arduous hours of reviewing grainy, often frustratingly low-resolution video, a blurred image finally coalesced into something tangible. A man, his face partially obscured by the brim of a worn baseball cap and dark sunglasses, making the critical purchase. Though the image lacked crisp clarity, it provided the first undeniable physical lead. Detectives now possessed a shadowy figure undeniably connected to the untraceable burner phone and, by chilling extension, to the hidden, vulnerable facets of Sarah's secret life. This narrative underscored the painstaking, often anonymous work involved in piecing together digital crumbs, vividly demonstrating how technology initially designed to offer a cloak of privacy could ultimately betray a calculating perpetrator. The ghost of Sarah's digital interactions was slowly but surely taking on a terrifyingly concrete form. With the elusive image of a shadowy figure now clutched in their hands, the investigation pivoted sharply, intensely focused on identifying the individual linked to the burner phone and, by chilling extension, to Sarah's disappearance. Detectives Thorne and Hansen, acutely aware of the lead's critical importance, immediately disseminated the enhanced convenience store image to other law enforcement agencies across the state, holding out hope for a match within vast databases of known offenders or persons of interest. Concurrently, they made another visit to the Velvet Note, this time armed with the still frames of the obscured man. Their questions were now more surgical, seeking any staff member who might recognize anyone frequenting the bar who fit the general, though indistinct, description. It was Mark, a quiet, observant, part-time bouncer with an uncanny knack for remembering faces, who hesitantly provided the pivotal piece of information. He recognized the man. "That's Aaron Vance," Mark stated, his voice a low, slightly trembling murmur. Vance, he explained, was a regular fixture, a solitary figure who invariably claimed a stool at the far end of the bar, usually alone, nursing a single drink. Mark recalled a few fleeting occasions, subtle enough to be dismissed as insignificant at the time, when Vance's gaze had seemed to linger on Sarah a moment too long, a possessive quality in his observation. Vance, according to Mark, frequently paid in cash and consistently kept to himself, moving through the periphery of the club like a ghost. The detectives immediately initiated a comprehensive background check into Aaron Vance. What they unearthed painted a disturbing and deeply unsettling picture. Vance's past was marred by a troubling pattern of erratic behavior and a consistent history of restraining orders stemming from previous relationships. These incidents, though not all culminating in major convictions, starkly indicated a dark propensity for control and obsessive tendencies, a volatile, predatory undercurrent beneath his carefully cultivated, quiet demeanor. Crucially, there was no direct discernible connection between Vance and Sarah's professional life, no shared colleagues or business dealings. This stark absence strongly suggested that their relationship, whatever its true insidious nature, was profoundly personal and deliberately secretive, existing entirely outside the transparent world Sarah presented to others. He was a ghost in the crowd, Emily Jenkins reflected later, her voice laced with a growing cold fear that had only just found its target. Always there, apparently, but never truly seen, never acknowledged until now. The narrative now shifted, piercing the veil to expose the unsettling reality of an unseen predator operating chillingly in plain sight, a shadow lurking just beyond the edge of casual awareness. The meticulously gathered evidence, once disparate threads, the inexplicable bar tab, and the clandestine burner phone, now converged with terrifying clarity, unmistakably pointing to Aaron Vance. He was no longer merely a shadowy figure from a grainy video. He was now unveiled as the central sinister figure in Sarah's secret life, and very possibly the calculated architect of her abduction. The intersecting circles of damning evidence, tightened inexorably around Vance, forcibly pulling him from the anonymity he had so carefully cultivated. Aaron Vance, now firmly identified as a primary person of interest, faced an exhaustive examination of his entire existence by detectives Thorne and Hansen. His digital presence, starkly contrasting Sarah's open and vibrant online world, proved conspicuously sparse, a calculated, almost obsessive effort to remain untraceable, a clear hallmark of his deceptive character. Yet even within this deliberate shroud of anonymity, subtle, chilling patterns began to surface like faint telltale tracks on untouched ground. A diligent review of surveillance footage amassed from numerous cameras surrounding Sarah's home and workplace over the preceding 2 months unveiled a disturbing tableau. Vance's vehicle, a nondescript dark sedan, frequently materialized, often lingering for extended periods precisely when Sarah was known to be present. This was no mere happenstance. It evinced a methodical, chilling campaign of surveillance and stalking. The initial fleeting notion of a secret relationship disintegrated, revealing something far more sinister, an unyielding predatory obsession, cold and relentless. Further investigation illuminated Vance's starkly isolated existence. He resided alone in a Spartan apartment on the city's periphery, a life utterly devoid of genuine warmth or meaningful connection. His irregular night shift job, it became clear, inadvertently afforded him extensive opportunities for his clandestine surveillance, allowing him to operate unnoticed under the cover of night. Adding a volatile stratum of desperation and instability to his already alarming profile, Vance had also recently been laid off a crucial detail he had painstakingly kept hidden. He cultivated no close friendships, fostered no discernible family ties, his entire life a hermetically sealed, unreadable volume. He was a man who carefully obliterated his own tracks, Detective Hansen remarked, her voice underscoring the formidable challenge such an elusive subject presented. Yet the inherent instinct of a predator inevitably leaves its indelible, albeit faint, impression. This investigative chapter vividly underscored Vance's chilling meticulousness, painting a portrait of an individual whose capacity for calculated deception bordered on the pathological. The burner phone's precise location pings, combined with the uncanny timing of the bar tab's creation, now revealed a disturbing, almost artistic symmetry with Vance's documented movements. Every fragment of evidence, once isolated, now coalesced into a vivid, terrifying mosaic of a man who had orchestrated his sinister actions with frightening precision, stalking his prey from the deep recesses of the shadows until the opportune. Aaron Vance was no longer just a suspect. He was a meticulously constructed enigma, and detectives Thorne and Hansen were relentlessly unraveling his dark design. The full, unsettling expanse of his concealed life was finally beginning to come into terrifyingly sharp focus. With an intricate, undeniable web of circumstantial evidence, now meticulously spun, the damning burner phone data, the perplexing bar tab Vance's chilling patterns of surveillance, and the crucial convenience store footage, detectives Thorne and Hansen recognized their moment had arrived. The intricate puzzle pieces formed a damning whole. They secured a warrant for Aaron Vance's arrest, the culmination of arduous weeks of focused, relentless investigative work. The apprehension itself unfolded with a stark surgical precision. In the pre-dawn stillness, long before the city's early risers stirred, a tactical unit executed a swift, decisive raid on Vance's secluded, anonymous apartment on the city's periphery. The sudden, violent intrusion shattered the quiet Vance abruptly rousted from sleep and taken into custody without a struggle. Initially, he projected an almost disarming calm, feigning utter bewilderment. His eyes, though heavy-lidded, held a calculated emptiness, a perfect mask of feigned ignorance. He claimed an absolute lack of acquaintance with any Sarah Jenkins, her name, a foreign sound on his lips, nor any knowledge of an untraceable burner phone. The stark, windowless interrogation room swiftly transformed into a silent psychological battleground. Detective Thorne, drawing on years of experience, initiated the questioning with a deceptively gentle demeanor, a strategic attempt to lure Vance into a false sense of security. "We just want to understand." Aaron Thorne's voice was even almost empathetic. "Help us piece together what happened from your perspective." Vance, clinging desperately to his carefully constructed charade, began to weave a fabricated narrative of a quiet, solitary life completely divorced from any involvement in Sarah's disappearance. His answers were practiced, his denials unyielding. However, as Thorne and Hansen systematically began to dismantle his story, laying out the irrefutable evidence, one undeniable fact after another, Vance's composure visibly began to fray. They first presented the grainy but unmistakable photographs of him purchasing the prepaid card. Then came the detailed phone records, exposing a pattern of calls and texts to Sarah's number, even those deleted from her device. Finally, the precise, chilling timings of the bar tab, placing him unequivocally at the Velvet Note after Sarah's departure, were revealed. The sheer, cumulative weight of the facts, each piece meticulously documented and unyielding, pressed down on him with suffocating force. His eyes, which had maintained a chilling, steady gaze, darted nervously around the sterile room. His answers, once firm, grew increasingly evasive, then overtly contradictory, a rapid, desperate descent into exposed lies. He scrambled to construct a new defense, a transparent, desperate improvisation. He stammered a new tale. He had been having a secret, illicit affair with Sarah, he claimed, and she had bought the burner phone for their clandestine communication. It was a last-ditch attempt to deflect culpability and desperately muddy the waters of truth. But the cracks in his meticulously built facade widened into fissures, then shattered completely, revealing the desperate, cornered man beneath. The trap had been sprung. The interrogation room, heavy with the oppressive weight of Aaron Vance's collapsing narrative, saw his lies mutate from desperate improvisations into increasingly frantic and elaborate fictions, a definitive sign of his deceptive suspect persona crumbling under the relentless pressure. Detective Thorne, recognizing the irreparable fracture in Vance's composure, pressed on with unyielding resolve, his steely gaze locked onto the glaring inconsistencies surrounding Sarah's last known moments and the deeply anomalous nature of that open bar tab. He presented Vance with an unyielding timeline projected starkly onto a screen, the burner phone active in the immediate vicinity of the Velvet Note, precisely as the spurious bar tab was opened in Sarah's name, undeniably after she had been observed departing the establishment. Vance, now utterly cornered, his practiced denial spent, finally broke. Yet it was not with a torrent of remorse, but with a chillingly detached, self-serving confession that began to unfurl the true, horrific tapestry of that Friday night. He admitted to his burgeoning pathological obsession with Sarah, confessing to weeks, if not months, of methodical stalking and surveillance. He claimed he had approached her in the Velvet Note's parking lot. Initially, he insisted just to talk. But when she unequivocally rebuffed his advances, her polite refusal igniting a spark of his inherent volatile rage, a violent struggle had ensued. In a fit of overwhelming rejection and uncontrolled fury, he had forcibly abducted her, driving her to a remote, desolate, wooded area outside the city, a place he knew intimately from his solitary shadowed wanderings. The perplexing detail of the bar tab was then laid bare, a perverse revelation of his calculating and manipulative mind. He had returned to the bar after abducting Sarah, not for another drink, but to deliberately order one using her name. It was a twisted, chilling act of control, designed to sow confusion and create a false alibi, an insidious attempt to place her back inside the club long after she was truly gone. The burner phone, he admitted, was his insidious instrument for surveillance, a secret compartment that allowed him to invade her privacy track, her movements, and engage in his twisted game of cat and mouse, all while remaining undetected. He then, with chilling dispassion, confessed to the unfathomable killing her, and subsequently meticulously concealing her body deep within the remote, dense woods. The discovery of Sarah's remains grimly guided by Vance's cold, precise confession, brought a horrifying and gut-wrenching end to the frantic weeks-long search that had consumed her family and law enforcement. While it offered a sliver of tragic, definitive closure, it simultaneously deepened the abyss of their immeasurable grief. The omniscient narrator, returning to an objective, factual tone, detailed the grim efficiency of the recovery operation forensic teams, moving with somber precision through the dense undergrowth, carefully documenting every detail. This stark procedural reality was starkly juxtaposed with the agonizing, gut-wrenching grief of Sarah's family. Their worst fears irrevocably confirmed, their desperate hopes shattered by the full, brutal unveiling of this darkness. The truth finally brought to light was a crushing, unbearable burden. The protracted, agonizing journey for Sarah Jenkins' justice commenced its final public phase with the trial of Aaron Vance. It represented the culmination of months of painstaking detective work, rigorous forensic analysis, and the sheer emotional fortitude of those who mourned her. Yet for Sarah's grief-stricken family, it was a harrowing ordeal, each day a fresh wound. Vance, his face a hardened mask of calculated indifference, entered a plea of not guilty, maintaining a defiant, unrepentant demeanor throughout the proceedings, a final desperate act of his ingrained deceptive suspect persona. He sat a chilling tableau of denial amidst the mounting, irrefutable evidence. The prosecution, spearheaded by District Attorney Anya Sharma, a sharp and deeply empathetic prosecutor, renowned for her unwavering commitment to victims, meticulously constructed an overwhelming case. Item by damning item, the evidence against was systematically laid bare for the jury. DNA recovered from Sarah's abandoned car confirmed unequivocally as Vance's provided irrefutable physical linkage to the abduction. Cell tower data, forensically triangulating the burner phone's location, placed it precisely at the crime scene in Grant Park at the moment of Sarah's abduction, and later chillingly at the remote wooded area where her remains were tragically discovered. Detectives Thorne and Hansen delivered their powerful testimony detailing Vance's elaborate initial lies, the methodical dismantling of his fabricated alibi, and his eventual cold confession, painting a vivid and disturbing picture of his predatory obsession. Then came the moment that hushed the courtroom into a suffocating silence. Emily Jenkins, embodying the raw, unvarnished strength of the grieving family member persona. Her small frame seemed to swell with an almost defiant resolve as she approached the stand for her victim impact statement. Her voice, initially trembling with the profound, incalculable weight of her loss, gained a searing, resolute clarity as she looked directly at Aaron Vance, her eyes burning with a fierce, unwavering accusation that pierced his practiced indifference. You stole her light, you stole her future, you stole everything she was, Emily declared, each word a hammer blow against his facade. But you will never, ever steal the love we have for her, nor erase the memory of the incredible woman she was. For a fleeting, profound instant, the air in the room thickened, almost as if the very narrative itself paused, acknowledging the profound human cost. The narrator's voice, though still composed and objective, carried a barely perceptible tremor, a somber echo of Emily's raw, unendurable pain, before immediately regaining its customary formal, calm, acknowledging the immense human weight of such testimony. The jury, after a deliberation that felt both agonizingly protracted and remarkably swift to the waiting family, returned with their verdict guilty on all counts. A collective, audible gasp rippled through the gallery swiftly, followed by a surge of exhausted relief. It was a hard-won victory for justice, a moment of profound, albeit tragic validation for Sarah's family. Vance remained impassive, his expression unreadable, a final, chilling testament to his profound lack of empathy, even as the judge read out the verdict. The echoes of justice, though steeped in sorrow, resonated through the courtroom, a powerful testament to a truth finally revealed. With the jury's verdict echoing through the courtroom, Aaron Vance received his sentence, life without parole. Justice, a cold and definitive measure, had been served. Yet for Sarah's family and friends, the profound chasm carved by her death remained a constant, aching void that no legal outcome could ever truly fill. Emily and Chloe, forever bound by their shared grief, continued their arduous journey, their memories of Sarah infused with an indelible sorrow, but also buoyed by a fierce love and an unyielding determination to honor her vibrant spirit. Emily, seeking a constructive outlet for her overwhelming grief, channeled her pain into tangible action. She established the Sarah Jenkins Memorial Scholarship for young women pursuing careers in marketing, a field Sarah had embraced with such passion and acumen. This initiative transformed her sister's tragic end into a radiant beacon of positive legacy, empowering future generations in Sarah's name. "It's how we keep her light burning," Emily explained, her voice now clearer though still resonant with the profound weight of her loss. "It's exactly what she would have wanted, to help others achieve their dreams just as she was striving to do." Chloe echoed this sentiment, recalling Sarah's tireless work ethic and her innate ability to inspire those around her. Detective Marcus Thorne, reflecting on the profound impact of the case, acknowledged the indelible mark it left on him and his entire team. He spoke not merely of the tireless pursuit of truth, of the countless hours spent meticulously piecing together digital whispers and elusive physical clues, but of the heavy burden inherent in confronting such unfathomable cruelty. His resolve, however, remained unwavering, a deep-seated commitment to tirelessly give a voice to the voiceless, to fight for those who could no longer fight for themselves. "Every case takes a piece of you," Thorne admitted, a rare moment of professional vulnerability. "But the pursuit of justice, bringing answers, however painful, that's the immutable force that drives us forward." The narrative now draws to a full circle, artfully weaving together the enduring core themes that defined Sarah's story. It illuminates the relentless, often winding and arduous pursuit of justice, fraught with dead ends and deceptive trails. It underscores the enduring, often unseen impact of trauma on those left behind, their lives irrevocably altered by a sudden brutal loss. And most crucially, it exposes the insidious nature of the mask of normalcy worn by perpetrators like Vance, the quiet, unassuming exterior that cunningly cloaked a monstrous darkness within. Sarah Jenkins' light was extinguished far too soon, a vibrant flame unjustly snuffed out in its prime. Yet her memory, championed by those who loved her fiercely and those who fought tirelessly for her truth, continues to burn brightly, a testament to a life lived fully and a spirit that resolutely refuses to be forgotten. The episode concludes with a poignant image: Emily standing before a newly dedicated memorial bench in Grant Park, adorned with fresh, vibrant flowers that reflect Sarah's enduring love for life. It is a quiet, powerful testament to a life cut short and the unwavering resolve to ensure that Sarah Jenkins' name will forever be remembered. The bar tab and the burner phone, once cryptic fragments of a terrifying puzzle, now stand as stark, chilling symbols of the intricate web of deception and obsession that led to Sarah's tragic, untimely end. Their silent presence, a constant reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life and the enduring human quest for light and closure. In the chilling silence left by a calculated evil, the digital echoes of a hidden life ultimately illuminated the path to justice. If you wish to follow more stories where intricate deceptions are unmasked and the echoes of justice resonate, then be sure to subscribe to Shadow Files for our next deep dive. Don't forget to subscribe to Shadow Files and hit the notification bell.